I was directed to another list of questions for atheists. You know it's my catnip. Can't help myself with these. Let's see what they got. Do you know any atheists? Here are 7 questions you can ask them. Why did you become an atheist? Lack of any evidence of a supreme being. That's really all it takes. I remember thinking about the stories from the Bible, specifically the ones about Moses, and wondered how they could be proven to be correct. That started me down the road of questioning the existence of any gods. I have no animosity toward atheists because I used to be one. Well, technically we all used to be one. Nobody becomes a theist until they start to believe in a higher being. But that's really just semantics. And you know me, I'm always up for semantics. I take it to mean you didn't believe in a higher being at some point and then changed your mind. Good on ya. There must have been some convincing evidence to adjust your view of the world. I personally have not come across anything to convince me yet. If I ever did, I'd have to incorporate that evidence into my worldview and change how I understand the universe. Christians are in no way superior to non-believers because God is no respecter of a person's ability, social standing, or wealth. Acts 10:34, Romans 2:11. God doesn't look at the outside as we do, rather he looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. We too must look, not at the outside, but at the soul of that person as someone that needs saving. They may have a very good reason not to believe in God, but we all know that belief doesn't alter what is true, so ask them sincerely why they became an atheist. I'm an atheist because I simply find myself lacking any evidence of a supreme deity. That's not proof in itself. I admit, I could be wrong. But I plan to hold a healthy amount of skepticism until I am shown something that can prove the existence of an intelligent creator being. And yes, belief doesn't alter what is true, so belief in a deity is not in any way proof that there is one. Show them respect, but ask them what their reasons for not believing in God, since they lack all knowledge of all places in the universe. Why can they not deal with a God and that exists? I've not searched every forest, glen, or dale out there, so I can't say that leprechauns don't exist. But the lack of any evidence for them existing is why I don't think they're real. The same goes for your, and any, God. I don't have knowledge of every place in the universe, but so far there has been no evidence unearthed anywhere that points to a God, so I have no reason to believe that any, including your specific one, exists. Where did matter come from? We know about Aristotle was opposed to Plato's first cause, but his theory of causality is still an argument from universal causation. Plato's basic argument in the Laws, Book 10, was that all movement in the world was an imparted motion, and since everything is in motion, who matter came from? Was that a singular point in the beginning of the universe and all matter? Since matter must have a cause, who or what was that cause? We don't know. Simply that, we don't know where the matter for the universe came from. We do know there was a massive expansion of matter and energy roughly 14 billion or so years ago. We have evidence that it occurred, and we can extrapolate back to the first fraction of a second after that expansion started. But we don't know what happened to cause it. Yet. That's an honest gap in our understanding of the origin of the universe. But just because we have a gap in our knowledge does not mean we have to fill it with a God. It is not the case that what we don't know should be attributed to anthropomorphic creator beings. Honestly, the prospect of a God simply filling in what we don't know would be worrying to me if I was a theist. If God only exists in what we don't know, then your God gets less and less powerful with each discovery we make. Not all atheists are hostile towards Christianity. Are you? And if so, why? Since atheists claim there is no God, why do some have such hostility against those who believe in God? Why do some seem to have a mission in life or an axe to grind against Christians or Christianity and even against God? Why do they detest a belief in something that they themselves don't believe in? My issue is not with God, but his fan club. Don't get me wrong, there are those out there who have an animosity for any kind of belief. Personally, I think you can believe whatever you want. It's when you try to use those beliefs to hinder and control others who don't share those beliefs that you hold that I get hostile. Since there is no Santa Claus, why don't they go up to every Santa Claus they meet and rail against them or not existing, since both don't seem to exist to them? The difference is, in general, people are not telling Santa Clausists how to live their lives. Nobody is making laws restricting how others live based on the perceived dictates of Santa. I have not come across lists of 7 questions to ask people who don't believe in Santa. If those things were happening, then I would have issue with people who believed in Santa and said I had to live my life according to his rules. Have you asked yourself, what if you're wrong and there is a heaven and a hell? Yes, I have. But since I have no proof of an afterlife, I don't have any reason to think there is one. Have you asked yourself, what if you're wrong and the Greeks were right, and you need to be buried with enough coins to pay passage across the river Styx? I said river Styx. Or do you have a belief in all deities until they're proven false? If you don't believe in something, does that mean it doesn't exist? In other words, does what we believe change what is true? No, what we believe does not change what is true. I once believed my ex and I would be together forever. Obviously, since I called her my ex, what I believed at the time simply was not true. Regarding the existence of a god or gods, I could be wrong. I'm willing to admit that. I could be incorrect and there is a god, but I simply have not been given any evidence yet. Until evidence is presented, I have no reason to believe in one. An example was that humanity was once convinced at one time that the earth was flat, but their concrete evidence of looking at the earth and seeing nothing but flatness didn't make the world into a flat surface. What atheists believe and don't believe cannot make something true or false. Right, so turn that on its side. You're convinced there's a supreme being out there. From your use of Bible quotes, I assume, and I could be wrong, that your evidence is from a book, or looking at the universe and saying something must have deliberately made it. But thinking like that is not evidence, and what you believe or don't believe cannot make something true or false either. Neither the atheist's nor the theist's beliefs will affect how the universe is. That's why we need to use evidence as the foundation for our understanding. What happens after you die, and what proof of your belief do you have? As far as I know, all evidence points to our personalities being embedded in our brain functions. Once our brains stop working, that personality is gone. Once I die, I won't exist anymore, and it'll be the same as the billions of years before I existed. I have no proof that there's anything beyond this life, or that there's any part of us that is not connected to our physical bodies. There has never been any evidence of mental functions or thoughts occurring without brain activity. If there was, please present it. It would show how we can live independently of our bodies. Atheists may say what happens to them after death, and as far as the physical body, we can know that, but what about the soul of a man or woman? Can you kill a soul? Well, first off, you need to prove the existence of souls. The majority of atheists don't think there is one, although there are some that do believe in souls. However, nothing has been presented as evidence, so why do you claim there is one without any proof? Until you have some evidence, you have no reason to speculate on what happens to a soul if you can't even show there is one in the first place. Is this all there is after life? Is it nothingness or no state of awareness? How can they be so sure there is no afterlife? What if they're wrong? Won't it be too late then to believe in God? Hebrews 9:27. Your Hebrews claim is just that, a claim. As much as I would like people to face justice for their crimes, I don't see any reason to accept that there will be any final justice. And if you're right, why would it be too late to believe in a God? My mind will apparently still be functioning after death, and it will be evidence there's an afterlife and a soul, so I'd accept the existence of a deity then. But again, how do you know your claims about an afterlife are correct? Do you believe in objective truth? Yes, some things are objectively true. If I have one object in a bowl and add another object to it, I have two objects. So, some things are objectively true, mostly mathematics and tautologies, which are true because of how they're defined. I would ask an atheist if there are certain objective morals, do they have something that they see as an absolute moral principle? Claiming an objective moral or absolute moral principle is different than claiming they're objective truths. Just because some things are objective doesn't mean everything is. Morals are subjective. This is easily shown in the fact that morals change over time and location and even from person to person. There are many morals that people share, but since they can change between individuals, we can't say they're objective. Things that we used to see as wrong are now accepted, and things that we used to think were just are now no longer accepted. Is the murder of an innocent person always wrong and at all times? Are there objective universal morals? Are there none? I can think of situations where the murder of an innocent is not wrong. Cruel, cold-hearted, but not wrong. The classic example is if you go back in time and had the opportunity to kill Hitler before he did anything, would you? It would possibly save millions of lives. Would it be wrong then? You could argue that you know what he's about to do, so he isn't an innocent because of his future crimes. But what if you found yourself years before his birth and came across Clara Pölzl, Hitler's mother, before giving birth, or even getting married? Killing her, who never did anything to warrant a death sentence, may save millions. Would that be acceptable? These aren't easy questions, and if morality was objective, they would be. You can't say it's always wrong to do a certain thing. What if doing a bad thing prevents a worse event, or causes a good outcome? I kind of wish morals were objective. That would make deciding actions much easier. Where does morality come from? At its base, morality comes from empathy. We don't want bad things to be done to us, so we, in general, don't do bad things to others. This was born out of the fact that as a species, we thrive on working together, and societies, made up of those who are empathetic to one another, have a better chance to survive and thrive than those who didn't develop what will become morals. Conclusion. Wait a second. That's only 6 questions. Did you forget one? If humans are simply a process of random chemical processes over millions of years, then how a non-believer be so sure that their atheism properly represents reality? Well, as tool users, having a correct understanding of reality helped us understand the world around us. If we didn't work out cause and effect properly, our tools wouldn't work, and we wouldn't thrive. This doesn't mean we're right about everything all the time. We didn't evolve on the quantum level, for example, so we don't really understand quantum mechanics. But we did evolve the ability to use logic and reasoning to work out how to use evidence to discover, to the best of our abilities, what is true. The old brain in a jar hypothesis could be true. This entire world I'm experiencing could be a delusion, but I have no reason to think so I discount that idea because of a lack of evidence. What if they're wrong? You keep asking that, but what evidence do you have? I'm willing to accept proof to convince me that I'm wrong. If I'm presented with some, I will gladly change my mind, but I need some reason to change my mind beyond what if, because if we go down that road, every religion, every claim should be accepted, even conflicting ones, which means we'll never know what really is true. What hope is there after this life if life is all there is? Does that rob purpose beyond the grave? Do you believe in an afterlife somewhere? As far as I can tell, there isn't any hope for an afterlife. But why does there need to be one, besides a desire to go on after death? Yes, we may be the end result of a combination of cosmic accident and trial and error evolution, but why do we need hope after this life? Why can't we live this life as it is, make things decent for us and those around us? Isn't this enough to enjoy the life we do have without there needing to be one after? The Bible declares what can be known about God is plain to them because God has shown it to them. For his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world in the things that have been made, so they are without excuse. Romans 1:19 and 20. This is a claim, and frankly, one that doesn't make any sense. Quoting Bible verses at somebody who doesn't believe it's true is not going to convince them of your intellectual superiority. Yes, people once thought the world had to be made by somebody, but as our understanding of the world grew, we found that many things attributed to God were natural. So, why do we need to default to magic man did it when we have no evidence there is or ever was one?